Hi, I'm Sean Dunn, and welcome to this episode of Origin to Ambition, the entrepreneur's journey. In this episode, I speak with Philip Lai, the owner and founder of Australian Combat Sports Academy. Philip turned a passion for Muay Thai boxing into his business. Formerly working in advertising, he found a passion for training in Muay Thai, which led him to start competing professionally in Muay Thai, and that led him to quit his day job and open a business. It's got a great story, some really good lessons in this one today, and I hope you enjoy it. I invite you to listen on. Welcome to Origin to Ambition, the show where we explore the small business entrepreneur's journey in business. I'm your host, Sean Dunn. Let's get into it. G'day, Philip. Thanks for being on the podcast today. I appreciate your time.
No worries. Hi, Sean.
How's it going?
It's been going well, thanks.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to this one today. I always look forward to them, but I'm keen to hear your story. So the name of my little podcast is Origin to Ambition. So the point being that we're trying to go back in time a little bit and go to your origin story to a point and say, you know, where did you start and how did you end up becoming a small business entrepreneur? So we might start there if that's all right. Do you want to take me back and tell us about how this journey started?
Yeah. Well, I own a gym called Australian Combat Sports Academy, focusing mainly on Muay Thai. So let's maybe start back when I first started Muay Thai. One of my friends actually dragged me along to a session. Before that, I'd started doing Taekwondo for a bit. And then my friends took me to a kickboxing session. And then by the end of the session, I was absolutely just fatigued. I couldn't believe how tough it was.
Yes.
And then that sort of inspired me to keep going as well. And I suppose what that sort of, how this sort of plays into why I started the business is that I'm big on personal development. I enjoy challenges. And then ever since that first session, I just wanted to keep going. After that first session, I still only just did it for fun, and for fitness as most people do. And then one of my coaches asked me if I wanted to compete. And I was sort of
So how long ago was this? How long ago?
This was probably, I'd say maybe about 15-ish years, maybe 15, 20 sort of years. It's pretty long, I can't even remember.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah. So he's asked me if I wanted to compete, and I wasn't sure. I'd only done it for fun and for fitness. And then eventually I jumped in, had a few sort of novice amateur level competitions. And then I just started to get higher and higher as well. So in terms of the sport, I started to have bigger and bigger fights. And then it got to a point where my hobby, so my hobby was Muay Thai, started to overtake my personal life in terms of personal life and also career. As during that time I was working in advertising. And then I felt like when your passion or when your hobby starts to take over your professional career, then I knew I had to do something. So I was sort of on a crossroad, whether I keep going down that path of working a job, advertising job, or down another path of where I could potentially open a gym or try to do something else. And so fast forward to 2025, that's where I ended up now.
When did the gym, the academy, when did that start? And what was the point where you tipped over? What was the decision making at that point? So you've spoken about your hobby and passion taking over, and then you sort of feeling you're in a position where you had to make a choice. What was that decision making process like at that time, and when was this?
I can tell you exactly when this decision making point was. At the time, I was working in advertising.
Yes.
Sunday night would tick over, and then every Sunday night, I would think about calling in sick or not turning up to work. And the only thing I actually looked forward to was Sunday night. I knew Monday I was going to go to training. I knew Monday I was going to go see my friends. I knew Monday I was going to do something fun. And I guess it got to that point where I was like, nah, I didn't want to stay doing that corporate sort of gig. I wanted to follow my passion. And that was my tipping point.
So when was this? How many years ago would this have been?
It would have been before 99. So, no, because I've competed. No, that's when I finished high school. Sorry, now I'm getting all mixed up.
Right.
It would have been 09, before 09. So maybe 07, 08, sort of around there, I'd sort of say.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 08, 09, I think 2008, 2009. That's when I got the ball rolling with opening up the academy.
Okay. So what did that look like? How did you plan that out? Because you don't just now that you. I suspect there'll be a funny answer in here somewhere. How did you plan out? Because, well, you take me through it. How did you plan out that one weekend, whichever weekend it was in 07, 08, where you said, you know what, I'm going to work tomorrow and telling them that I'm resigning? And how did that play out and then play into the plan for the academy?
What happened is that I was about to have my last professional fight.
Okay.
So in my mind, I had always said to myself that I wanted to take this Muay Thai competition as far as I could go. After that fight, I ended up going to Thailand for 3 months. And then, so I'd actually quit my job before that. And then I knew that I'd go to Thailand after that. And then I actually had no plan coming back.
I saw it. Now, I just knew from your response when I asked that question that I thought that might be the answer. There was no plan. So what happened? You went to Thailand, and do you mind telling us, like, where did your fight career land? You know, what were your achievements around that before you went to Thailand? Like, yeah, where did you feel you'd gotten to in the fight scene, I suppose?
Yeah, my original plan was to take it as far as I could before I was 30.
Yes.
And so I had 2 big fights, or two of the biggest ones of my career. The first one was for, I think it was a WKA Australian title, and that was up in Shepparton. They used to do big promotions out there. And I drew for that one. And then I came back and I fought for a WMC state title in Victoria, but I lost for that one there.
Yep. Yeah. So that draw in Shepparton was probably a highlight. I mean, you would have liked to have won, no doubt.
Yeah.
But that was a big fight.
Oh, definitely. At the time, the scene was really small. For me, it was a big deal. It was probably one of the high points of my life.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So coming off the back of that, you've decided to go to Thailand for 3 months. And what drove that? Was it just because you know, obviously the home Muay Thai? But what drove that decision to spend 3 months in Thailand?
At the time, all the best Aussies, all the best fighters in the world were going to Thailand to train. The scene wasn't as big as what it is now. And I wanted to do what everyone else was doing. And I suppose I was at that point in my life where either I did it now or never did it. Yeah. So I suppose that was the main driving point as to.
So it sounds to me like going to Thailand had nothing to do with starting the academy necessarily. So you come back from did that plan ruminate in your mind in Thailand? Did you, whilst you were there, you were like, okay, I'm going back and I'm going to start this? Or did you just come back and start?
I had always thought about it in my head. I think a lot of people sort of think about the idea of opening up a business. And to me, I didn't think that I had the skills necessary. I didn't think I had the mindset necessary to run my own show. And it had always been there in the back of my head. Oh, maybe one day this, maybe one day that. But I suppose when I actually came back from Thailand, even the planning sort of started, but it was just in my head planning to open the gym.
Gotcha. So this leads to the next question, I suppose, or the next logical leap. If you went back in time now, knowing what you know today, what would you have done differently in starting a business? And what advice, you know, comes from that?
Oh, if I was to go back in time and restart, I would have not listened to a lot of people. I would have actually brought on professionals to come and help guide me in this journey. I know at that stage that I wasn't in a situation to pay for people, but I did have people in my existing network that maybe I should have asked them about starting the business and the things that they did well, or maybe the things they did not so well. Yeah, but I suppose seeking professional advice would have been one of the main changes that I would have done.
That's an interesting one, because I do want to ask you about the value of advice, and in full disclosure, you are a client of mine. So I do want to ask you that question, but not specifically about our relationship over the last couple of years, but really about that point in time where you think that advice would have been valuable to you at that point. So I think this is common, and that people start a business and somehow don't seek advice. And I appreciate as well that you can't necessarily afford to pay for advice at that point in time. But do you think there's two things there? One, leaning on your networks and having maybe a mentor, for example, and or ensuring you've got sufficient money behind you that when you do start the business, you can afford advice and afford the things that you probably should invest in. Do you think both of those or either of those would be something you would advise?
Definitely something that I would advise to new people starting out. I suppose a lot of people are in the same, were in the same boat as where I started. You don't start with, they may have not started. I didn't start with much at all. But I did have people in my existing network that potentially I should have contacted or I had a chat to about.
So would part of your advice be to almost formalise even a mentoring type arrangement with somebody or a couple of people?
Yes, I do think that formalizing some sort of mentorship or some sort of guidance with someone that has been there or understands the business journey would have been helpful, very helpful.
Yeah. Do you think the advice there, this is interesting because the advice piece can be technical, I guess, in terms of business, but the advice piece can also be around what it is you're actually doing. So your craft or your service or your product. What I find with small business owners that start off with a passion is that they're actually very good at what they're doing. It's not, that's not really the question. More and more what seems to come up in conversations is the business piece. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel that you're okay on the martial arts side of things, or would it have been better to have some business advice or both?
I think it would have been much better to have the business advice.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty good at what I do,
Yeah.
as is in terms of teaching and then coaching. But as a business owner, especially when you start, you're expected to know everything about accounting, about marketing, about how to run the business. And those were the things that I struggled with in the beginning. I think I was sort of had that mindset. If I open a gym, everyone's just going to come in because they know Phil when he does Muay Thai, but it's not the case. Yeah.
That's a good point. I think that's an emerging theme through my conversations, that people are good at what they're doing, but it's hard when you have to suddenly be that all-rounder, business all-rounder, I suppose, is maybe a way to put it, and you don't necessarily have the skill set around that. Yeah, that's interesting. What mistake, besides not getting advice, I guess you could say that's an error, but I don't think that's uncommon. What mistakes happened early on that, you know, if you could go back in time, you would not do? Because I think everyone can learn out of these.
I don't think an hour podcast is going to be enough time.
How about you pick your top one or two that stand out?
All right. Top one. I think identifying who you want to work with and focusing on that one niche market is probably the biggest lesson that I've learned throughout the years. I think at the start when I first opened, I was like, I want to do this program for that person, this program for this age group, that program for someone else. But then I realized I became happier when I just focused on that single style and then just focused on that one person. That one style or that one thing that I was more passionate about, and which is just training Muay Thai and then coaching Muay Thai.
So I think we can say safely that what you're referring to is having multidiscipline martial arts in the one academy, if I can put it that way, and potentially the error being trying to be all things to all people, I think is what you're sort of saying.
That's exactly it.
So in other words, and this is a common theme, this is not just from me, or, you know, you hear this a lot in business about niching, so picking your niche. So what you're saying is, and your niche doesn't have to be really tiny. I'm not suggesting that it's going to be some tiny specialized niche. But what you're saying is you were happier when you just focused on what you were best at, which was Muay Thai.
Yes, 100%.
At developing your programs around just that. So there was an inflection, only because I know this, and I don't think we should or need to go into detail. So the inflection point of switching the academy purely to Muay Thai, so let's put it that way. I think you're saying you're happier. That's the first thing. But what has changed business-wise since doing that?
Business, well, I think the main thing that has changed is that I feel when I'm sort of running the business, I have more focus as to who I'm actually targeting and who I want to attract as well. And I know each style has their own different types of people that they attract, but I feel like the people that I attract by just running a Muay Thai purist gym are the people that I want to work with. So I'm enjoying coaching a lot more, enjoying building the programs, and then just the whole vibe and the whole culture of the gym has sort of changed as well.
So I'm trying to expand what you've just said into just general entrepreneurship, general
Hmm.
business sort of learnings, I suppose. And you tell me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing here is that when you're happier and you're more specialized and more focused, it's leading to a better product, for want of a better term, or a better service, if you could say
Hmm.
that. So you would say it's a better service that's coming through, a better product?
Yes. When I have focus, when I have clarity with what I'm doing, when I wake up every single day, it just feels like my product is better. So my product is teaching Muay Thai classes, and it feels like I can just give more to the clients as well.
So have you seen an increase in membership?
Yes, I have.
And that would be a function of, one, you are clearly attracting the people that want what you offer.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you also see that because you are in a service, leisure
Hmm.
industry, service, I suppose, um, one of the big things in your style of business, of course, is retention of
Yeah.
students. So not having them run away, run off, lead off, I suppose, for want of a better term, or quits. Have you seen with that focus that your quit rate is less?
I do feel like the quit rate is less now.
So
Reason why,
your retention's better.
yeah, retention is better, and then I'm attracting the right people from the start, and it's the people that want to stick around. They want to learn the art.
Yeah, excellent, excellent.
Mm.
So can you take me through with the academy, what that and you may not have this articulated. I think you and I have worked on this a couple of times over the years, actually, but
Yeah.
right now, Tony, because there has been a lot of change in the business
Mhm.
over the last 12 months or so, and probably focusing on more tactical issues. I know we've started implementing a 60-day sprint on certain tasks for your business, which I know we're meeting about next week or two. So we'll be ready for that. But this may have been dropped away a little bit, but I think you will know yourself about the values that you try to instill. So in your business, what values are important at the academy?
Values? Do you mean values that I try to
Yes. As the business owner, what values are you sort of bringing to the business in terms of the way the business delivers to its customers?
This is a good one. I suppose that one of the most important values that I feel that I'm trying to bring to the customers, there's no fluff in Muay Thai or the art that I teach. I try to bring authentic training, authentic Muay Thai training, real Muay Thai training to the everyday person. I don't expect every single person to compete, but I do realize that every person that trains Muay Thai can actually benefit from just the training part alone.
And how do you see that they benefit?
I, the main, the number one thing that people say when they come in to the gym is that they want to get fit. And
Yeah.
it's such a broad thing. But the biggest benefit that I see from people, especially a lot of the kids and the teens, is that they just become more confident.
Yeah. Okay.
They become more confident in themselves. That's probably one of the main things.
Yeah. Excellent. So you give people belief in themselves effectively.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just physical. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How do you think your life values translate into the way you run a business?
I think my life values probably come across too much in my, in my business. Everything I've ever done, I've always given 100%. Even in my fighting career, schooling, academics, everything. And I feel like that comes across, well, I hope it comes across in my business as well. Um, the business is all I ever do. And all my energy just gets channeled into that. So I suppose The short answer is that work ethic and determination to not quit even when things get tough.
And that's another thing that comes from these conversations. People that I work with or people that I associate with are the types of people that live their business life the way they live personally. You know, they live their values, if that makes sense. So you've kind of just confirmed that. I said in one of my other discussions or one of my other conversations on this podcast where an early mentor of mine said, you know, never trust somebody that tells you it's only business, because it tells you that they're playing by a different set of values in business than what they would in their personal world, which not how we should run business. We should run business the way we would want to run our life, you know. So that's what you're saying is, you know, don't give up, give 100% and be determined. And that's how the business operates as well, you know. So I think they're good lessons for entrepreneurs. What would you tell, besides potentially saying get a mentor or get advice, what would you tell an entrepreneur who might be listening to this, thinking about launching onto the journey of business ownership and entrepreneurship?
My piece of advice is that you have to have self-belief. Trust your gut instinct. So many times I've sort of felt, oh, I didn't listen to myself. And you just have that feeling sometimes that maybe something's a bit off or maybe something's just not right. But I think it's important to have self-belief and confidence in yourself to actually listen to that voice. So if something doesn't sit well, you got to listen to it.
Yeah, good. I like that. I'll ask you another question then. Is entrepreneurship for everybody?
No. I don't think it's like with fighting and everything I do. It's not everything is for everyone. I think people like the idea of being an entrepreneur. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to work 2 hours a day. I feel like I'm actually working more hours than I did running the business than when I was working for someone else.
Yes.
The only difference is that I know if I don't put in the work, I'm not going to get the results.
Yes.
And I'm passionate about doing what I'm doing now. And that's why I'll put in the big hours to get the work done.
Yes, understand. We are trying to move you to being able to step away from your business, but that's part of our longer range plan.
It is.
We are working towards that. Although that being said, you have been able to take the odd time away and have staff step up when necessary. So that's been
of course,
that's a bit of a win. But why don't we talk about that? I mean, I don't know that we're quite. Again, I'm talking about working because I work with you, but I don't think the plan's quite there yet. You know, in terms of being able to step away for a long period of time, for example. But I think you have been able to get to that point. So I think it's important that business owners do build a business that they don't have to necessarily always be in. I personally don't believe people can set up businesses that they don't touch. I mean, I think that's just fanciful. But what do you think you have done with your team to help bring about a culture of people being able to take responsibility and step up?
I think one of the biggest things that I've done with my place is introducing good systems. So that's systems from running front of house, so reception, all the way to through to coaching as well. I know it's a work in progress, but I'm still working on it. But even recently, I had to take some time off away from work. I thought the gym was going to burn down, and if we're going to have mass cancellations. But the thing is, the numbers picked up when I was away because I had a good team behind me, and I knew that they had my back because they understood the system, they understood how things are run at the gym, and they understood how I like things, how things should be run. They followed it, and there was no issues.
So, in other words, systems and training.
Systems and training, 100%.
Also, I would add to that, and this is a tricky one to get right sometimes, but you've got to have a deep enough bench, as we might say.
Yes.
So sometimes that can be tricky. What challenges have you found in terms of having a bench that you can rely on, as in having a deep enough bench, so enough staff to rely on? What challenges have you found there? Because I think that's true in any small business. As you start to scale up and get bigger,
Yes.
you have to have a team.
Yep.
Challenges have you been confronted with on building that team?
I think one of the most, some of the challenges that I've encountered when having a deep enough bench for building a business is, I suppose, at the start, it's just me. So you're always going to be the backup person. There's no sick days. There's none of that. Now at the moment, I'm sort of in that phase where if someone's away, it's still me. I'm still the backup person. I want to get to that stage where I'm not the backup person. So, for example, if someone's away sick or whatever, there is someone to fill that. So at the moment now, I've got a good team that can fill in classes or take classes. But then sometimes, I suppose, if I had a deeper bench, I would be able to have other people as a backup plan.
Yeah. So you're still the backup at the moment.
Yes, I'm still the backup.
Yeah, which I know that, but I think it's important we get that out for people. So, but what's the challenge in getting a deep enough bench though? So you don't quite have it. It's a great bench at the moment. You've got a great team, but you'd like a deeper team.
Yes.
A bigger, deeper team, I suppose. What challenge is there in having that?
I think the challenge is, this sort of goes back to what we were speaking about at the start. The challenges to growing the program is having a deeper bench. I'm good at teaching Muay Thai, but I find it difficult managing big groups of staff. So at the moment now, I think I've got between 7 to 10 sort of coaches on the roster. It was easy to manage when it's just me or one or two. And I suppose, the biggest challenge is finding the right people, and then also managing different types of personalities, and then managing people when you're running the business.
Yeah. So people management's a different skill together. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any? Clearly, that's something for us to work on. but what advice do you have for that small business person? Like, if I'm sitting here today if I'm a person listening to this today and I'm just about to start my journey and it's going to be all on me, clearly I need to get to not clearly, I may wish to get to a point where my business is big enough and I've got a staff and I've got a team and all the rest. What skill have you had to learn in terms of managing a team? Like, have you had to learn a skill?
I've read so many books and podcasts on every single side of business. I think one of the most important skills that I did have to learn about was leadership. No one teaches you to be a boss when you're running a gym. You're just expected to have all the answers and to have all the leadership skills. But it takes time. It's a skill that takes time to acquire or learn.
Leadership.
Yes.
I think I just heard in what you said as well. Would you say that you're a lifelong learner?
100%. I'm a lifelong white belt.
Yeah. I like that. That's good. Yeah, that's good. I love the martial arts analogies. It's like when you get a black belt in a martial art. I know you don't really do belts in Muay Thai, but typical Japanese martial art, for example, black belt, and they just say that really you're just an advanced student. You're not, the old, I don't know, maybe it was something that came out of the 70s and 80s. I've got a black belt, I'm a master type thing. But the reality is that your black belt just says you're an advanced student.
That's exactly it. And I agree with that as well.
Yes, I like that. What's next? I don't know. Let's say 5 years look like for you, do you think? Where do you want to take the business and what does that look like for you?
In 5, I suppose my 5-year plan is I like coaching, but I don't want to do every single class. And I think when you're running a business, you sort of get caught up on doing everything. 5-year plan down the track, I'd like to be able to step back a little bit. I still want to be coaching on the mats, but maybe not as much as what I was currently doing or currently doing now.
Yes, understand. I'd like to move you to the 440 lifestyle that I'm always talking about. 4 days a week, 40 weeks a year. That's what I'd like to move you to.
It'll be ideal.
We're trying to get there, get you off to Thailand a couple of months a year. And I'm sure that's a work trip anyway, because you'll train anyway. I know what you do. So
every single holiday has been a work trip.
Absolutely. So I think we've covered off a lot of things. So your 5-year plan realistically is just to, I'm simplifying by saying this, is to allow you to step out and realistically. And I say it half jokingly, but I'm not joking. I work with all of my clients towards a 440 lifestyle, and whether we get there or not. Even if we get close, we're probably going really well. But 4 days a week, 40 weeks of the year, is how the business we want it to operate. What I'm hearing from you is this: if you could get that, that would be great. It's interesting you didn't mention financials. You didn't say anything financial there. You actually talked about time. So time is the commodity that's precious for you.
Yeah. When I went into business, when I went into opening the gym, it was never about financials. For me, it was about having a lifestyle.
When I started working with you, Philip, I don't want to be rude, but I could see that. I think we had to learn to focus on the financials.
Yeah, that's where I struggled at the most.
Anyway, sorry, keep going. You interrupted. So time and lifestyle, I suppose.
Yeah, time and lifestyles are my most important goals, I suppose, in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've sort of got lifestyle. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
Yep.
you've spoken about your love coaching. Like
Yes.
you are doing what you love doing. It's not a
Yes.
case. Business can always be a grind at some point. I mean, that's just business. That's life. But you're doing what you like doing. Or love doing. So
Yeah.
got a lot of the equation covered, I suppose. It's probably more that you've proven that the business can survive without you. It's now just making that process more systemized, maybe more systematic, that it can work without you.
Yes, and that's exactly it.
That's interesting. One more question. More. If you look back on your entrepreneurial journey from starting the business to today, can you encapsulate in one or two sentences, like, what are you most proud of that you've achieved in that journey?
What I'm proudest the most of on my entrepreneurial journey is I suppose having the courage to actually step up and go through with the journey. I've had my setbacks. We survived 2 years of COVID being completely closed.
Yes.
Things like this wear people down and they can break people as well. But I'm glad that I stuck with it. I'm glad I stuck with it. I'm glad I had a good team behind me and a good membership base that supported me through the entire journey as well.
That's awesome. That's good. So having courage.
Yeah.
I do have one more question. So I do want to ask this of all of my guests.
Yes.
The value of advice. So again, I don't need you to speak specifically about our relationship, but you can if that's valuable. But what's been the value of undertaking business financial advice, which is starting to lead into personal advice? Actually, I know our journey is starting to move more into the personal space over time. So what's the value of business financial advice to you?
The value of having business advice, whether it be anything, is that you're able to take your business to where you want to go without having the skills that you might not possess.
Yes.
I always felt I was not good with financials. I don't like doing financials. And that would have been the limiting barrier for me taking the business to that next level.
Understand. I always say, again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. When I work with business owners like you, I always say, what I want you to do is what you're good at, and let me worry about the financial advice stuff, which is why you've got me, so that you don't have to do it. And you've kind of just said that, basically, I guess. So the value of it is that, you can just aim yourself at what you want to do and go push the business where you want to push it without having concerns in the background, I suppose, or having comfort someone else is looking after those things.
That's exactly it. You're the expert in what you do. I like teaching Muay Thai, and that's why I found the business has started to grow more and more by just letting people who specialize in that field, whether it's financials, whether it's in social media.
Yes, or IT or whatever.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
And then I just leave it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Philip, I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Great. Thank you
today. But I really appreciate your time and making the time and being generous to give up time to be on this with me and to tell your story. I think there's a lot there for people to learn from. We always learn from other people. It doesn't matter what the industry or the business. I think there's always some nuggets there, and I really appreciate your time today. So thanks for being on.
Thank you very much, Sean.
And that's all for this episode of Origin to Ambition. Thanks for tuning in. To make sure you don't miss our next conversation, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen in. For more information, you can visit us at dominiumcapital.com.au, and we'll see you next time.